the 5 days, one thing that have come out very clear is there is urgent need for more roads, whether it's from the SLPP side or the APC side. My fear is, looking at the current trend of the economy, where we have to address debts and we have to address the issue of paying salaries, what remains will not be able to address the much required request of more roads. In the previous days, many people have talked about the stabilization of the exchange rate. And the honorable member from Kailan was celebrating that we have a stable foreign exchange rate now. You know, when it seems to be good, they celebrate it. But when we move from 700 to 2 million leones, then they ignore it and blame it on foreign reasons. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it's a laudable venture to have an increase in salary for workers. That is so much laudable. But at the current trend of the economy, even 25% increase will merely mean nothing to the ordinary Sierra Leoneans, because the market inflation is greater than the economics inflation they will just give us on reports. Mr. Speaker, every day the market inflation keep rising. 25% increment in salary will mean nothing for the ordinary people. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, from that I'll move on to education. I must applaud the Minister of Finance for the allocation to the education sector. You know, they've given monies to subsidies, they have allocated monies for school feeding, they've allocated monies for public examination. But one tends to ask the question, in the last 3 years, we've always been struggling having our kids to take the WAS exam. If we're giving this much of money to the Ministry of Education to pay for the kids for WAS, why are we having a problem with these school exams? Why? Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in the few weeks back, we were here and we talked about, during the presidential debate, we said, one of the major constraints in the school system is, even when we feed the kids SO2, they not get time for good toilet in the school system. Even when we feed the kids in school, even when we provide them sanitary pads, they don't have a convenient place to change these pads. They don't have enough convenient place to dispose them when they use them in schools. And that is why we keep talking about having worse facilities. Mr. Minister of Finance, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, next year budget, Mr. Minister of Finance, we want to see a special allocation for worse facility in schools. We want to see that in our school curriculums, in our school budget, where our kids could go to school and they feel free to use the school toilet system. We are not sending our kids to public school, not because education is not good, but the sanitary condition of those schools are very, very poor. Very poor. You know, it's unfortunate when you speak certain things affecting the poor man's kid. Honorable members think undertone is a way to address them. It's a shame. It's a shame. You know, most of them don't send their kids to Cathedral. Their kids are in Lebanese and other schools. It's a shame on us. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Mr. Minister of Finance, I am appealing. The schools we attend still don't have worse facilities. The school of the ordinary people who voted us to these places cannot still use toilet facilities in their schools. It is just an appeal. Well, another member is just reminding me what happens around Parliament. I will not say that, sir. Mr. Speaker, going to the water sector. When I look at the allocation in the water sector, either it's Guma Valley or the Ministry of Water Resources, I remember and I said the condition of water facility in Freetown will not improve soon. In fact, when the minister and his team put up a kind of plan for Western area, it is just a small area, the IMAT and its environs. That is the area of the affluent people in society. Boreholes will not solve the problem of a water facility in Western area. I applaud you for increase in water catchment areas in other areas, like the one in Gambia. Thank you, Mr. Minister. But the Western area crisis continue, and with the current allocation to Guma, it will not change soon. Mr. Minister, like the agreement we approved in electricity for Lunge, I still believe, as a people, if at all we can have a private sector investment into water, our people can pay. You know, you've not stayed in Freetown for long. That's why you say they cannot. A minimum of 40,000 is paid by every family to get water a day in Freetown. No government can take that same amount. They cut the pipe because the water is not available for every area. Let's address the issue. Your other two will not change the situation. Because I'm a specialist in it. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am still appealing to the Minister of Finance to have a situation in which we have private sector coming into the water sector and boost the Western area and other areas where water is needed. Up to 70 to 75% of our population cannot get clean water to drink. Is that not a concern for members of parliament? Continue to give undertones. It's a shame. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that takes me to roads. Mr. Minister, you know, before we came to parliament, we were told they are going to construct the road from Tonkolimba, Kambia, Tonkolimba, Tompare, going to Kamakwe. Mr. Minister, I thank you that we are having it again in this project, clearly stated. Though it has been diverted from Kamakwe to Bramaya in Kukuna. Thank you, Mr. Minister. It is better to go home. You know, it is painful. I know the constraint you had in the last raining season. It's almost 7 months. The minister cannot go home. The road was very bad. The Honorable Tawa cannot go to Tonkolimba. The road was very bad. The only person that was going to Tonkolimba was Anesdura because he had to go. But sincerely, that road is important. It's of economic importance. Mr. Minister, if I'm leaving Gambia to go to Bombali now, I have to go round when there is a shorter route. And that will open the country. It will give more visibility. But again, like the honourable member said from Kono, we've seen roads, we've seen projects, infrastructures coming up in every year budget, but the actualization is still a problem. I hope this is the only thing, apart from the school you've given the people of Kondimaka, this will be one of the things they will look forward to. We want to see having the road going to Tonkolimba and Bramaya, your home. You know, why as I'm talking, the paramount chief is looking at me. I'm covered. Mr. Speaker,
I'm covered by my promotion.
You know, again, the honourable member from Gambia stated the situation of the judiciary and the allocation sent to the judiciary. Mr. Minister, let me say to you, the court in Gambia cannot sit. The court is miserable. The building cannot host a court sitting during the rainy season. And if it cannot host the court system, it is a challenge to us as a people. It delayed justice. In some parts of the country, the courts have been moved to the paramount chief's court barracks. The magistrates do not have place to host themselves. They don't have residents, they have to rent for themselves. Their security is also of concern. If there is no hostel for them to stay, there is no accommodation for them. And we've opened high court proceedings in different parts of the country. And you will see why magistrates and judges do not reside in those areas. Because there is no convenient place for them to stay. Their security is also a challenge. How do we talk about justice when even the people who are meant to administer justice are not comfortable by themselves? Do you want to give another tune? Go ahead. You know, I know the Honorable from Kagboro does not have a court, so he doesn't understand what I'm saying. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this is a call for concern. For too long we've said the judiciary is not working. Can we address the issues that affect them? They are also human beings. They cannot cry open, but we see it for ourselves. The court in Gambia cannot host a court sitting after June. That's a call for concern. And look at the allocation given to them. It's miserable. The magistrates do not have cars on their own to move. They have to use their personal cars to go to those remote areas. You know, it's a shame. I will not name the judge, but I see a famous judge in Freetown using Okada. It is terrible, Mr. Speaker. The security of the person is under question. And this is a person we expect to administer justice when the state has not been fair to him. It is not new. That is why you are meant to fix it. He has you know, that voice resembles somebody from Bo. I'll tell the people of Bo, you are a better representation on that too. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I take you now to the health sector. Mr. Speaker, in the just yesterday, people were struggling. Poloko is having a 100-bed hospital. It should be built in 1 year. It should be built in 1 month. Mr. Speaker, we have passed those days as a country. Are we not growing? We should be boasting of having 100-bed hospital per chiefdom. Can't we do that as a nation? You know, this is, you know, there is an MP who is an ECOWAS representative of this parliament. For too long he has not been in this world, so he doesn't understand what we are doing. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you know, when the honorable member from Tombo, representing Western area, was making his statement, he said, even Western area where the ambulances were hosted for almost a year or two, today do not have ambulance for their people. It's a call for concern. And the committee chairperson, in fact, she's the only chairperson that spoke something around our committee, will tell you the names that was created to manage this ambulance system. It's a total mess. But that takes us back to our responsibility as members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, we cannot make these ministries work effectively if we don't debate the reports that these committees present to this parliament. They are not meant for the combo, they are meant to be debated. By that, we can present an active paper to the Ministry of Finance from Parliament to say this area, this area, this area, and this sector are badly affected. But if we take the reports we present, even by ourselves as members of Parliament, and we keep them just for reference sake and the library, it will not progress this nation. One thing you've said to us, under your leadership as Speaker, you will bring innovations to this Parliament. I want to have a time when we will debate our own very reports and present the issues that are in those reports and make recommendations to various ministries. The Ministry of Finance, to ask they do allocations. That takes me to the Ministry of Works. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, if you go to the Ministry of Works and if the Minister of Finance can input the total money government is paying for rent, for offices, government offices that they are paying for as rent, I will tell you, huge amount of our budget is being sent to those ministries and agencies to pay rent in those private homes. Mr. Speaker, if you compare the same amount government is collecting from its own property as out of rent, you find that the government is collecting pittance, whereas we pay huge amount to private owners. In my opinion, I stand by this, Mr. Minister. Take our private home, our private government quarters, turn them into offices and give those people who are occupying those offices allowances and save us the huge amount of money we're spending as a nation. It is interesting. You go today to where the judges are. They have been given allowances. They have quarters, and they are not staying in those quarters. They rent the quarters, and yet still, government is paying huge amount of money to private homes. You know, if we put the nation ahead, will allow the minister to listen to some of these recommendations for the progress of this nation. Mr. Speaker, this is a concern to me. I have been here, I was here with the Honorable Deputy Leader when he summoned Ministry of Works to bring government assets that have been rented. A government is having buildings at Main Wilkinson Road, which they are collecting 11 million old loans for rent, whilst government is paying over 500,000 loans for some of these offices owned by private people. We cannot do this to our nation. We cannot. And we are comfortable. Nobody takes responsibility. And we think we are not defending our parties. We are killing our economy. We are killing our economy. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, one of in the health sector, again, one of the major challenges we thought running cost recovery was very expensive. So we thought bringing the private sector in to run those cost recovery drugs was better off. Mr. Speaker, let me report that almost 80% of the hospitals out of Western area do not have cost recovery running. The advantage of government buying those drugs are numerous. One, government will not sell out fake drugs to its people. They will buy the correct drugs. Today, if you go to Cambia, the people depend on a pharmacy that is just outside. How do we regulate to ensure the drugs they give our people are good? They are not expired. This is a painful thing for our nation. It is pain to our nation. Somebody talked about NACSA. In the last parliament, I was part of the NACSA committee. I challenged this house. Bring out the list of the people who are beneficiaries of the cash transfer. And I will tell you, they are not the people who are meant to be qualified. They gave us an address in Mo. We went there. The house is too small to have 40 people benefiting from the house. And even the people whose name were in the list do not live in that address. Because they took me to Bo.
Why not Bo?
Mr. Speaker, honorable members. When we look at the current trend, I remember I was in this parliament and I championed the issue of Kush. We went to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. We brought to this world and we told you even the Drug Law Enforcement Agency do not even have a bicycle. How do you regulate drug issues when you don't have a bicycle? They are not mobile. Their salary is as people voluntarily leave the institution.
He has his own vehicle.
Mr. Speaker, as I speak, the allocation to that sector remains the same for 3 years. And what they get a year, I know the minister will increase it this year, but they have never received up to 50% of their allocation. As tiny as it is, and they don't collect it. And Mr. Speaker, at a time like this, when we had the time as members of parliament to deliberate this and pass a state of emergency to save the life of our youth, we were expecting a huge allocation to that sector. See what is being given to them. It's pittance. It is pittance. How do we save our youth? Mr. Speaker, if you go to the prisons, most of the people in those prisons are young people between the age of 18 to 35 years. And we were meant to make those prisons as correctional centers. But if you go to Poloko today, there is no center to train anybody. Apart from the main prison and Kenima, most of the prisons do not have correctional facilities. How do we train them? You look at the allocation to the police, Mr. Minister. I am concerned about this because most of our young people who are below the age of 18, when they come into conflict with the law, they are being sent to police cells. There is no difference between police cells for adults and those of the kids. So most of the kids become actual criminals when they are being taken to police cells where they meet hardcore criminals. And when you look at the allocation being given to the police, nothing is meant there to address some of those concerns. If you are not worried, I am worried. And that is why I'm reporting it here. You know, I will not go into allocations, but I am appealing. I stated with water, Mr. Minister, bring in more private sector into the water situation.
Leader, try to round up now, please.
I am. Thank you for the time you have allocated to me. But Mr. Speaker, the issues are painful. The issues are many. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, I want to say again, this culture of regarding roads have not helped the situation over the years. The minister could tell you the road going to Mulu, where I am coming from, has been regarded 3 times in 7 years. The situation remains the same in the rainy season. So what I will advise government, instead of regarding, it is better we make the road in piecemeal. And that's a permanent fix. Finally, the people of Kagboro are suffering. Let the Honorable speak on behalf of the people of Kagboro. I am begging. I am appealing. I am not politicizing. I am bringing out real issues affecting our people. The president has said the hope, the aspiration of the people is in our hands. Finally, I'll say to you, Mr. Speaker, I know you long before now. I know the passion you have for the people of this nation. Please transmit your energy into some of these issues I have stated. There are issues we can solve. There are issues we can remedy as a parliament. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable AKK. Thank you very much, Honorable AKK. On the government bench, how many leaders want to debate? How many leaders want to debate? Because I am taking strictly 3 from here, 3 from here. Strictly. So if you allow a member to debate, that's -1 from the leadership. Honorable Moijoy. No.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my leaders from the ruling bench. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, when I listen to the leader from Gambia, his submission and what I have been hearing for the past 4 days in terms of contribution to this budget, it appeared to me as if nothing changed. And I would advise going forward that when debating a budget, the document that is well designed, presented before us, we should stick to the provisions in here. And we are able to discuss what exactly this nation wants to hear, where are we and where we are going. Other than that, I would recommend that we limit most of those ones to SO23 for our personal expressions. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I want to start by submitting that for this budget that we are discussing for 2025, we should be able to benchmark this 2025 budget to at least 2024, where we are coming from. And in this budget, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the Minister of Finance clearly put here that the prudent fiscal policy and the robust monetary policy have been able to start bearing fruit. And that fruit is what we should be looking at to give us hope as a country, to look at where we are coming from. The issue of inflation, the issue of exchange rate is something that is old age. If you check history, it has started long ago. It is something that is continuing. But where we are now, the question is, how do we stop the inflation to start reducing to the desired point that this country will still be hopeful? Other than that, if we start benchmarking the gains that we are making to the previous APC regime, we are stooping so low to a system that only resulted only resulted to what? Austerity measures. Because we do not want to reach to that point, it is on this backdrop that we have the issues discussed here. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have been able to understand from this budget before us that because of those prudent fiscal management policies, the economy of this country is now trusted under the leadership of the finance minister, that we are able to secure as against. Pay attention, please. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as again, for the last 24 months, this government, under the leadership of the Minister of Finance, was able to secure 253 million, the EFC, the Extended Credit Facility Fund, the Resilient and Sustainable Fund. We were able to secure from about 270 to 415. The MCC is there. We cannot talk about that. And we talk about what we have been able under the Field Salon program for just within this year, what we have been able to gain under this regime. We have been able to what? To achieve or to reduce the importation of rice to 16%, 13% for chicken, 34% for onion, and 25% for eggs. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, now this will take us to where we are going. And the theme of this budget, that improving the well-being and the quality of life of Sierra Leoneans. With this beautiful theme and the objectives of this budget is clear enough for members across the aisle to accept this document and look at where we are going. One of the objectives of this budget is talking about prudently managing the public finances to create a fiscal space for investment in the social and economic sector. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the Minister of Finance presented to this House that due to the anti-tax protests across the sub-region, we saw what happened in Kenya and other countries. This government, under the leadership of His Excellency the President, he now said that for this year we are not adding any new tax, but we are what? Creating a fiscal space. We are looking at innovatives for us to get money and spend into the fiscal space so that this country will not resort to austerity as our brothers did to us. And through that, we saw the new idea, the innovation of what? Now getting funds or revenues from what? A royalty free of marble stones that have been exported as samples from this country. That one is a new area that this government is getting money. When we listen to people talking about Jallow Street in this town, Jallow Road in that town, it is speaking to the fact that you have to prioritize issues that are burning, pressing issues. But talking about those personal interests, those issues, will only tell us as a government that we are not being responsible with our finances. Because of that, this government for a year is looking at key issues that we want to address. Rather than talking about boreholes in other areas, that is not a pressing need. What is a pressing need in this country? What is a pressing need in this country? You and I know. You and I know is what? We are talking about what? Feeding this country. And Feed Salon project that is prioritized is not only solving the problem of food insufficiency, but it is talking about creating a space where we are talking about helping the situation of our exchange rate that has been issue in this country, thereby increasing our exports and also import substitution. If we now talk about producing rice in this country, that importation of rice will reduce. The determination of dollar exchange rate that is in this budget is said that is market determined will be achieved only through that. So this government is serious enough to ensuring that we are able to be on the good footing to take this country to economic stability. On this note, therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to say thank you for giving me the space for the speech. Thank you so much.
Very good. I don't see it. Okay, I don't see it.
Honorable Catherine Zainab Tarali.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to say a very big thank you to our esteemed Finance Minister for a wonderful budget presented to this wonderful house, titled Improving the Well-being and Quality of Lives of Sierra Leoneans. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the budget title signifies a lot into the minds of ordinary Sierra Leoneans. I critique the budget title because what is improving in our Sierra Leone setting? Tell me, when a bag of rice for an ordinary citizen is 1,000 leones against the minimum wage, which is 800 leones. Mr. Speaker, are we real as Sierra Leoneans, Mr. Speaker? Are we real, Mr. Speaker, as Sierra Leoneans? The minimum wage is 800 leones, and a bag of rice is 1,000 in Freetown. In Makeni Town, my hometown, a bag of rice is 1,050 leones. Mr. Speaker, is this real? Sometimes we don't want to politicize issues. Let's say the truth for the benefit of Sierra Leone. We are speaking Sierra Leone. If you are paying an ordinary cleaner in this parliament an amount of 800 leones, and he is a father of 3, tell me how the 3 kids and the wife survive. You tell me how they survive with just 800 leones. Mr. Speaker, with a gentle plea, can we in this house fight to improve the minimum wage, at least for it to match the price of the commodity that is staple for every Sierra Leonean? Because, Mr. Speaker, in paragraph 14, page 5, the minister says, with your leave, the relative stability of exchange rates reflects improvements in the trade balance. I don't want to say yes. I'm a trader too, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the exchange rates in the banks now, I'm also a person who owns a dollar account. If you go for your dollar into the bank, commercial bank, they will say there is no dollar. If you go to the black market, an exchange rate equivalent to leone is 24 leones 40. 24.40. So tell me, after buying a dollar, 24,400 for $1,000, if I go to China or to whatever country to buy my stuff, tell me the price I should send them. So what is the decrease into the inflation? For me, there is no decrease in inflation. And Mr. Speaker,
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, 34. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we should not be speaking to the gallery. Mr. Speaker, I want the honorable member to tell us which bank he went to and they said there was no dollar. Because sometimes when we're addressing people, so they send me the fruit. Letter gives all the banks she went to and they told her that there is no dollar because another statement is not true. No. If it's your personal, she would have said it here. It's not personal, it's now on the floor.
It's all right.
There is no bank you can go to and they will tell you there is no dollar.
It's all right, leader. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I refer him to the Finance Minister. He will answer this question and to the black market downtown. I am saying things that are facts. I change dollar in a daily basis, my uncle. You are my uncle. Sometimes I don't want to argue, my uncle. But when things are real, you say it. I am not speaking to the gallery, but I am speaking to the fact of the budget that we are speaking here. Mr. Speaker, honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, please. You see, Mr. Speaker, we are addressing the nation. We are addressing the nation, and we should be taking some of those.
Don't worry, the minister will respond to all of those.
Before the minister responds, Mr. Speaker, I'm the chairman for transparency and accountability. I want her to tell us the bank she went to and they said there was not there, because we need to call the bank governor and those bank managers to tell us. Simple. Because these are things we should be taking seriously. If she has been to anybody and they say there was no dollar in that bank, let us know. You cannot just come and make a statement because you are MP, you want to make a statement.
It's all right, leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I was expecting the chief whip to debate.
Hold on, Mr. Minister, respond to that appropriately when the time comes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I just want to I want a clarity in the issue of agriculture. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, feed salon agriculture is one of the 5 game changers of the government of Sierra Leone, and agriculture has been prioritized by the government to feed us. Feed Sierra Leone. How real is Feed Sierra Leone? Mr. Speaker, honorable members, if you turn to agriculture, that is page 34. Page 34, paragraph 111, sub A, feed salon. Mr. Speaker, let me take you to the last paragraph. The last paragraph says, government is also allocating 20 million leones for the provision of agricultural inputs for rice and poultry feed production through the e-voucher system, which is a very good one. Mr. Speaker, as a farmer myself, a master farmer in my community in Bombali, I know what I am saying. The e-voucher started in 2022, but to be honest, the e-voucher process needs to be scrutinized for the benefit of farmers. Mr. Speaker, the manner in which the people that are in charge of giving fertilizers, seedlings, that are withdrawing our monies, to be honest, Mr. Speaker, they need to be scrutinized for the benefit of Sierra Leoneans. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move to poultry. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, poultry production or poultry farms are about 150, according to statistics, the Ministry of Agriculture statistics. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, into these 150 poultry farms that we have, the Northwestern region hosts 130 of poultry farms, while the Southeastern region only hosts just 20 of these poultry farms. And now, it is our benefit as Sierra Leoneans that the Eastern women and the Eastern farmers, they have what they call a farm in Waterloo. Waterloo opposite Benguma, and they are doing very well. They are producing over 15,000 metric tons of feed for chicken. And Mr. Speaker, what we need here is to just beef these particular people, to support them. Why the minister want to take this chicken feed to Bo? Why is Bo only owns just 20 farm production of poultry farm? Are we real? Do we want to feed Sierra Leone? Are we really serious about feed Sierra Leone? Whilst the biggest farm of poultry is in Makeni town called Leone Farm, that is collaborating with the University of Makeni. Are we really serious? Let's look at the cost of production. Let's look at the cost incurred. After producing it in Bo, the farmer will go to Bo from Makeni and buy from Bo again to Makeni and Freetown. Are we serious? Let's depoliticize feed salon. If we depoliticize feed salon, it will yield the product that we want to see. Mr. Speaker, to be honest, since Adam was a boy, the chain of maize production is within Tonkolili district and Cambia district. Tonkolili district for Sierra Leone hosts 70% of maize production and Cambia. Moyamba district only 20%. So, Mr. Speaker, if those two districts are producing maize already, why taking chicken production to Bo? If the minister is not thinking another thing. Me, I'm asking the minister. Let the minister be Sierra Leonean for Sierra Leone's sake, Mr. Speaker. This is Sierra Leone. I am also a Bo person. My mother is also a Southern person. But Mr. Speaker, this is Sierra Leone for goodness sake. This is Sierra Leone. Let's speak Sierra Leone. Let us be very honest. Let's look at the oyster production. The oyster production in the Togo axis. And this oyster production works closely with the rice production. And let us be honest here. This year, Tomabom cannot produce because of the right on out of rainy season. We have a lot of rain in Sierra Leone this year. Gambia district can produce more rice than Tomabom because of the ecology. Because of the ecology, that is the real thing. So why not bring it? If not Makeni, Magoka, Gambia or Western area for the benefit of the majority of the farmers, the high trunk of farmers. Me, I am pleading. I am pleading for the benefits of Sierra Leoneans. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to turn my lens into what we call the system of health. Mr. Speaker, the common saying says, health is wealth. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, are we all serious in this house? Honorable members, are you serious? No, you are not serious. Ask me why. Ask me why. Is your health being taken care of by government? Mr. Speaker, our health is declining. As I speak, I am suffering from cold.
Point of order. Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I think we've reached a stage where we are going to ask you to go out. Mr. Speaker,
hold on, Chief Whip. Honorable Catherine, Zainab thoroughly withdraw that wall.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Withdraw it.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw because of the obligation and sincerity I own.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, allow this man to debate. He cannot continue to interrupt me in this manner.
Hold on, Chief Whip. Clerks, expunge that from the record.
Thank you.
Proceed. Proceed, Honorable, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am talking about sincerity. Maybe the phrase I used was not in the direct connection that I want to put it. And sometimes if you use one of the phrases that are not good, you, the semantic people and the syntax will say, it was not put in the direct order. And being a semantic and a syntax person, I am saying we are not sincere. We are not sincere because our health status, I have a discussion with the Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I told you, I said I will discuss this, and I am discussing it now. The reason is, all staff, government staff, are given what they call medical allowance. Mr. Speaker, and we are passing the medical allowance in this house. And Mr. Speaker, we are making laws in this house. Mr. Speaker, it's high time we take care of ourselves. Remember, Parliament, we do our own thing. That's what the law says. Let us do our own thing. Our health is our wealth. Most of us here are sick. They use their own money from their pockets to go for medical. Mr. Speaker, it's high time we have our medical. Mr. Speaker, health is wealth. I am asking for that. Mr. Speaker, honorable members,
For which they are taking care of even the children, teenagers.
thank you, honorable members, my brothers and
This sitting is
sisters.
stood down for 15 minutes.
Continue. Let allow the debate for continue. Let me allow them. No. Let allow the debate. Let continue.
I don't make it. I don't make it.
Let it continue.
I don't make it.
Let it continue. Okay, let it continue. Yeah, bring. No, listen. Medical debate is interesting. It's interesting at the damn the wall.
I know. I don't see. That was the.
Let me come.
That was the.
Let's don't use sentiments to drive numbers.
Our people wanted to get. Mr. Speaker, we are asking, as a real McKinney Pekin, people like SO2, Pancreas say, let you not be say, people like yesterday, they run per fats, they can't wear pants toilets. Mr. Speaker, it means that smelly fat that is not good. Our people says, Tolombo no go sidoya angry boku, and today, with the power, even though from 200 leones of bag of rice today to 1,000 leones, but still power is here. But we are asking you, Mr. Speaker, that with your leave, Mr. Speaker, this particular house increase the budget allocation of Salwako. Salwako needs to increase into what we call the lubric or whatever they call it into their jargons of water into our facilities. And Mr. Speaker, it is not just the regional hospital. The private hospital, especially the Catholic Holy Spirit Hospital, is not so getting water. The Magbunte government, Magbunte private hospital. So Makeni is completely deprived of what we call pure pipe-borne water. This is very serious that this Committee of Health visits the regional government hospital. Mr. Speaker, the regional government hospital is smelly like any government, because there is no toilet facility because water is not available, Mr. Speaker, as I speak. So if we say, I go to government hospital to seek medication, at the end of the day, what will I get? Sickness again. And Mr. Speaker, that will not yield the fruit that every Sierra Leonean wants to have. And Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are blaming Ukraine, Sierra Leone, the war, but thank God, it is now maybe improving gradually. But Mr. Speaker, the cost of living, I want to go again to the cost of living. Mr. Speaker, the cost of living is serious. Mr. Speaker, the former Minister of Finance promised us what we call bread and butter in 2018. Mr. Speaker, that particular minister told this House that with that particular budget, things will be better for the common Sierra Leonean. Things will work for the common Sierra Leonean. But Mr. Speaker, as we speak right now, Sierra Leone, our revenue, our revenue is not intact. Me, I'm not an economist, but what I listen and what I read, the Bank of Sierra Leone used to have what we call 6-month reserve. My brother SOS could attest to that. 6-month reserve. But as I speak, Mr. Speaker, we only have 2 months reserve. 2 months reserve. It is risky for Sierra Leone. Whatever trouble that comes into this country, we are finished. Because the reason, Mr. Speaker, as we talk, our domestic revenue is 7% of the GDP. Where are we as a country? Mr. Speaker, Sierra Leone needs to improve. Me, I'm not an economist. It's what I read, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'm waiting for your point of order, sir. Oh, okay. Because the reason is, it is the real things, Mr. Speaker. Let's speak real things here. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, we need to do more. Let's forget about politics. Let's do the real thing. We are opposition, but we are constructive opposition. We are saying things that are real for government to look into them and do more for Sierra Leone. We are all Sierra Leoneans. If my people in Makeni benefit, I have benefited. If my people in Bo benefit, I have also benefited. So benefit is a two-way track, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Mr. Speaker, page 31. Mr. Speaker, before I wrap up, I am the gender chairperson. Mr. Speaker, page 31. Page 31 talks about, especially page 31, paragraph 103, Roman number, no, it's 31. Roman number, what I'm talking about now is Roman number. So it is in 31. It is Roman number 3. It says, review the national strategy for sexual gender-based violence. And the other one says, they want to extend the one-stop centers. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, we have one-stop centers in Moyamba. We have one-stop centers in Podloko, in Freetown, in Kailao, and in Koinadugu 5. But Mr. Speaker, those one-stop centers are very deplorable. As I speak, when we went for oversight, the one-stop center in Podloko did not have the presence of the family support unit officer at all. Did not have the presence of the family support officer at all. And Mr. Speaker, we established the one-stop center for the benefit of our children, especially victims of sexual and gender-based violence. The only one-stop center that is in a very good shape, that is the one in Kailao, because of the support of Save the Children. Save the Children is supporting it, and it is working, and it is very strong. And the paramount chiefs are also working. And the honorable member, they made mention of Quintin Salia. The one-stop center donated something to them. But Mr. Speaker, the one-stop center in Moyamba, the one-stop center in Koinadugu, those one-stop centers, they are not in good shape. I am asking the minister to do the needful for the Ministry of Gender. The Ministry of Gender is a huge ministry. It needs to be looked into. If we are really serious to stop or to eradicate sexual gender-based violence, we need to do more for Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, as a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a caregiver, I'm a sister, I'm a everything. So for that reason, I am asking that we give what we call the best for the one-stop center. We cannot establish another one-stop center when the ones that we have are not in good shape at all. And Mr. Speaker, the minister says they will look into a rollout plan and strengthen all of these issues of gender. Before we roll, I am asking that we come with the law that we just passed here, Mr. Speaker, the regulations of the prohibition of child marriage. We cannot roll out anything without bringing the regulations. Let us have first the regulations here, and after the regulations, then we roll out. Mr. Speaker, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody here for giving me the opportunity to look into this wonderful budget. The budget, my brothers from Bombali, the one says a boost budget. The one says it's another one, I don't know the other name. But me, I am saying, the budget is not a bread and butter, but the budget is just what we call, open the door and let me pass. You can't tell me recommend us. Thank you very much.
Today is entirely for leaders. Today is entirely for leaders.
They are not prepared.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, are you debating? Leader 2, are you debating? You are the one round of also. Honorable Chief Whip, are you debating? Chief Whip, are you debating? You are giving it to who? To Selu? Okay, Honorable Selu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank you. I want to thank the Ministry of Finance for putting together these documents and to ensure that they are in compliance with the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Section 112 of the Constitution that gives the power to the minister to just lay the document here before us. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to bring the attention of this House that all we are talking about here about economy, Sierra Leone from the 60s, 70s to the 80s, we are on a very good economic footing until 1980 when the then president enforced that we should host the OAU in this country when our currency became devalued. Before this time, our currency was 50% equivalent to the British pound. It was because of that particular action by the then president that our currency became devalued to where we are today. So we are talking about exchange rate variables. It is because of that reason. Assuming our economy or our currency, Leone currency, is still 50% equivalent to the British pound, where this country will be today. But the foundation of this economy, where we are today, is as a result of that
bad monetary policy implemented by the then government in the 80s. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, all what we are talking about here is being embedded in the FSS. That's the fiscal strategy 2025, 2020, 2024, 2025, 2027. Like the minister, it is mandatory as per the PFM Act, Section 23 of the Act, that all what we are discussing here is being laid squarely from that document. But it's just unfortunate that most of us don't pay attention to the FSS. We just come to the budget straight to debate. Because when you take that document and look at it, it tells you exactly what are the issues, how the government intends to roll out projects, and what are the mitigating measures in terms of risk is being laid out in that document. So I will employ all of you to be looking at the FSS document as well in tandem with this budget that we are debating. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to look at Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to look at the budgetary support from the donors. Quite recently, the European Union is funding Sierra Leone government consistently, and they are based on certain principles. Unlike the World Bank and the IMF, the European Union has what you call performance indicators, and those indicators have been consistently met by this government. That is the more reason why they are still supporting this government as a responsible government, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. And one of the performance indicators is revenue, internal revenue generation, and we are really pushing for that as a government. I think that's the one benchmark that is giving credence to that. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, without that, if this government has not been handling those resources very well, the European Union with their standards, what they have, those performance indicators, we tell their support. But we all see what happened in 2016 when the donors withdrew their support from us. It was because of this government, the fiscal prudence, the fiscal discipline of this government presently, that we have been able to capture the minds of those donors. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, those performance indicators are very key, and we have been able to implement them successfully across these 6 years in governance. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will take you to paragraph 160 of the document. Mr. Speaker, let me before I go, let me talk about 106. Paragraph 106. Total grants to disburse by development partners are projected to 9.0 billion, representing 4.6% of the GDP. Mr. Speaker, honorable member, this is a huge projection and huge prospect for this country. Just for donor funds, we are expecting 4.6% of the GDP from the donors. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we're talking about wage bills in this country, and I think we cannot just talk about the nominal values of this wage bill. I will look at 109. I will read, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, the government wage bill projected to increase to 7.6 billion, representing 3.9%. And to that of 6.5 billion, representing 3.9%. So what is this? There are factors that are responsible for this increase. But the nominal value increases, although globally we are still within the threshold of international benchmark of the GDP. However, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the nominal value increases, but the percentage to GDP remains the same, 3.9 from 2024 to 2025. So there is nothing wrong with let's just look at the nominal values. We have to look at what entails, what are the factors. Because there is no way we cannot increase this budget, or we cannot increase the wage bill where we have serious tax to handle. Recruitment, I will just take you through recruitment of health workers. You want to increase health workers. You want to recruit more health workers. Where are you going to pay them? It's going to be on the wage bill. So these are some of the factors. Don't just look at nominal value. Say the nominal value of the wage bill is increased. It's because of those actions that will empower the lives of, that will empower the Sierra Leoneans in this country. That is why the nominal value, you see the nominal value increases, but the percentage remains the same. Mr. Speaker, I will refer you to paragraph 109. Read through them. You see those, and it's linked. I will refer you to that. This is linked to. If you go to paragraph 127, again at the last sentence, I will read for the education of the public. Government is allocating the sum of 2.4 million to NACSA for wages and salaries. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, there are fundamentals in finance management that you have to look at when you talk about the increase in a particular figure. You cannot just say because the nominal value is being increased. Look at the variables. What are the variables that are responsible, that will speak to that particular increase? That is something. If you say the wage bill has increased without improving the lives of Sierra Leoneans, without recruitment, without additional recruitment, then now you have to question. But it has been outlined here clearly that these are some of the measures the government is taking to reach to this point. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I want to look at the Feed Sierra Leone. The Feed Sierra Leone, I had members talking about the impact. There is no way we can feel the impact of the Feed Sierra Leone in 1 year time. There is no way. That brings me to the project management circle. You cannot talk about, for now, all what we are putting as a government is the input. And you can only notice that because of what the government is now doing. There are now structures in place. You see the private sector involvement, providing fertilizer, seedling, equipment, mechanized farming. These are all inputs at the moment. We can only talk about outcome and impact level after 2 to 3 years. By there, you can now see the outcome and the impact level. Let's go to the education sector. In 2018, when we introduced the free quality education, they were grumbled all over the place. But now we are now seeing the outcome of that. We now see public exams like the recent Becker result. 90.5% of pupils pass that exam. Those are the outcome measures we now measure. At the end, now, even for us, this year we have number of our children passing the public exam. These are because of the actions taken by this government, these bold actions to put in a lot of resources into the educational sector. We are now talking about the outcome, and after some period, you now feel the impact of this. When our pupils, our students from the universities will now start to contribute to national development, that will be the impact level. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, that is why the Feed Sierra Leone, we should all embrace this particular project, because we cannot talk about exchange rate stability where we don't do more of exports, and we have to increase our production, because when we talking about rice production, when we have a lot of rice production, when that production increases in the country, what will happen? We will have stability in the forest. We will not be exporting it, but we now shorten the forest that we use to import this rice into this country, 200 million annually. That money will now go elsewhere. What will happen? You will not go to the bank, like the honourable from Mumale was saying. When you go to bank for forex, they will tell you there is no forex. You now have enough reserves in the bank sitting there because we have enough rice to produce in this country that will feed us before we can talk about export. So, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, let's not talk about economy of exchange rate stability without increasing our production. The production level has to be increased, and we have to ensure that we have to ensure that export outweighs import into this country. That's one of the factors that will encourage economic stability and financial prudent management. Mr. Speaker, honourable member, the minister was talking about the risks. One of the risks I want to look at here, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, is on paragraph 160, Roman figure 2. An adverse terms of trade in the form of combined increase the price of our main imports such as fuel and food, fall the price of key exports such as iron ore could widen the current account of. This is clear. We cannot expect import out. When import outweighs export, there is no way. That's a very serious risk to this particular budget that we are discussing here. It's a very major risk, and we have to. I want to encourage the ministry to really look at it, because this is where we really have to look at very clearly, because the risks are outlined here. And for me, this bullet 2, Roman figure 2, is key to this particular budget, because hence that is being handled. I am sure we talk about economic growth. We talk about forex in our banks. We have enough of that, because as it is now, most of our essential commodities are being imported to this country. But when we increase the export as against import, then we see the decline in the forex. We see that exchange rates variables will decline. Then you now see our currency will now be valued at international standard. I think those are some of the issues we should be looking at. Let's not be looking at something blindly that is just coming out of our, because we want to speak our mind. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the minister in his presentation was talking about budgetary allocation to ministry overspending. The minister has the power, and as per Constitution section 111 subsection 4, it is only the minister that has that power. Nobody has the power to withdraw or to release funds without the approval of the minister as per Constitution. I will not even talk about the PFM Act that has the regulations as well, that talks about those regulations. So I think one way to really manage this budget is for the minister to ensure that what is, because this is why maybe the MDS needs to know this. You have what to call allocated budgets, approved budgets, and budget the one that is really committed to you. Because they can give you a ceiling, then you submit they can give you a ceiling of 100 million. You submit 120 million, then they approve 90 million for you. You should stay within that 90 million that is approved. Don't say because your budget ceiling was 120 and you submitted 100, so you now come and use 120. No. That is where most of the issues are coming from. You have to stick to the approved budget allocated to your MDAs. So for any time you want to go beyond that, I think the minister has the power as per the Constitution 111 subsection 4. It's only the minister that has the power to do that. Except if there's any shock along the way, then it will now come with a supplementary budget to this house. Mr. Speaker, honorable member, as I round up, let me go to the sector of let me talk about revenue generation. This is the first time this government, this is one of the best finance ministry administration we've seen. They presented their document in orderly, timely, and sequential manner. They brought the Finance Act, the FSS first, the Finance Act, and now the appropriation in that orderly manner. I think that is something that's something you have to applaud them. The estimate is here with us as well. All of us have our estimate here. I think this is something we have to really applaud the ministry for that. That tells you how the minister over the years was able to learn very fast from deputy to deputy 1 and a substantive minister. Kudos, Mr. Minister, and we thank His Excellency for that wonderful appointment. And he has really managed this economy, because over 2 years there has been stability in the exchange rate. Very stable for over 2 years, with all the global shocks and the rest. But I want to say the NRA, and particularly this year, there has been no tax, there has been no increase in taxation to the government. All what they did as a ministry and the NRA is tax compliance, enforcing the compliance. I think that has been missing. Before this time, even for payroll tax and other corporate tax, there was no penalty levied. There was no penalty levied. I think these are some of the measures they've taken to be able to broaden the economic, the revenue base. I think that is something we should give kudos to the ministry and the NRA for making such a wonderful proposal to generate income for us. Because there is no way we can fund development projects without having our own internal revenue being generated to a point that the international community will only complement us as a government to be able to implement this. Before I round up, I want to make a few clarification. I want to remember was saying that the commercial banks are now using their monies to give out to government to pay salaries and other development activities. And let me say this. That's not sufficient reason or justification that you are providing, Mr. Speaker, other members. Even for the interest rate, it was said that is why they bring bottlenecks. Interest rate is not one of the factors that determines the interest rate at commercial bank. Is from the treasury. It's from the treasury. So fine. One of the fundamental is a fundamental factor. Is a treasury. So it's not being determined by just one person to see this morning to say the interest rate is 28%, 30%. It goes in line with the treasury. So when you talk about domestic borrowing, when you talk about domestic borrowing, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am making some very serious economic and financial clarification here. So you have to give me time. My honor from Bombali, you have to give me time for me to make this clarification. These are very typical issues that we have to handle as specialists. No layman can handle this effectively unless we, the specialists, can handle this. So let me make it abundantly clear to the nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me make another clarification from the honor for Putloko. When you talk about project management, project execution, you talk about 100 bed hospital for 3 months, for 1 month. There is no way, even if these container structures, they cannot do that in one month, because I have seen the document myself. Let's don't play to the gallery. When we speak here, we speak on behalf of our people and we give them correct information, because what we say here is being carried. What we say here is being carried. When we talk about international travels, that particular benefit you are getting from Poloko is as a result of the engagement of HE, the president, because he traveled to abroad. These are some of the economic benefits we have. We are going to call in finance cost benefit analysis. The member from Bombali knows about that. Cost benefit analysis. You have to weigh in what you input and what is the corresponding immediate output you get from that investment you do. So if you're talking about international travels, we have benefited a lot from those travels. We did not take the hospital to the south, but in the north. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we're talking about infrastructure. Today we have a very powerful bridge linking Putloko to Bombali, the Berry Bridge. Is that not an infrastructure development? It was done by under this government. Mr. Speaker, honorable member, the bridge linking the north and Moyamba, that's Mambam, was done under this administration. The EU started the negotiation with the then government, but because of financial mismanagement, they held back. They held back until when this president came into office. They now came back to renegotiate because of those performance indicators. The APC did not meet those indicators. There are 3 key indicators that the EU critically look at. One is revenue generation. 2 is procurement policies and how you meet best practice, international best practice. If the government then did not meet those performance indicators, there was no way they are going to continue with them. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it's not about what is happening now. Let's look at, because this is a global shock. Because of the leadership we have, they are putting in place robust financial strategies to manage our resources. That is why we are here. No worker or no civil servant in this country have gone for more than a month without salary. Salaries are paid on time. These are some of the measures that the government is taking. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, from the civil service to the political class, there has not been a month since 2018. No government worker have gone even for 1 week beyond the 30th. Not less than 1 week beyond it. Previously, in this country, salaries were paid in this country Salary we are paid on the 45th of the other month, 45th of the other month. And we have what you call paymaster, they pay on the table. It was only this government that brought in this structure, the Tigakaba era. You go to the bank. So this government is known for structural development, developing the structures. And the other side is known for destabilizing those structures. Let's look at the railway. Let's look at the SLPMC. Let's look at all the structures that we built. Let's look at the nurses we built. Go to the Commerce and Mortgage Bank. The Commerce and Mortgage Bank, they have a product they call the mortgage facility. That was closed because of, as a result of bad leadership. We are what we call PEP, politically exposed persons. They invaded that bank to a point that the bank cannot even service their own operations. In the then government. So you see, when you have a government that builds structures, then one government will just come and wipe out all those structures. It's a disease, it's a sickness in this country. Any sensible government will not sit and look at a railway. When we have railway services in the country, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you know, it pushes the economic effect on the best Sierra Leone. Example, a train running from Kailan to Waterloo. A bag of cacao, if it is 20 bills in a truck, the train will take it for 5 bills. Somebody just in his corner just said to just wipe out everything, including the rate, including the metal rates. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, for me, let's continue to build institutions. Let's continue to build structures. We all run to abroad. We are all running to America, to UK, to Europe, because there are structures, and these structures are working. But if you decide to kill the structures that will give effect to governance, then you are missing the point. Mr. Speaker, honorable member, as I round up, I want to encourage Sierra Leoneans that as a country, we have a very professional driver with a very good vehicle to drive you to the economic level that this country has. Like somebody said, a very senior member from the other side, that their driver that they presented 2018-2023 is not a professional driver. Has never been a professional driver, and the vehicle itself is not roadworthy. It has never passed the state inspection. All of us that have gone to abroad, you know, before a vehicle is being licensed in America, what we call state, you go through state inspection. And their vehicle has not gone through state inspection. So this country will not support them to handle this government, to handle this country. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I want to give confidence to the Sierra Leoneans that we have a very serious professional driver in the driver's seat. That is His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, and the SLPP has a very good, vibrant vehicle. Their vehicle is in the garage. Let's wait until they fix it. For the next 30 years, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, before they can pass state inspection. For now, they cannot pass state inspection. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I want to talk to the APC MPs. Their staff were removed from them. And in replacement of a brass instead of gold. As I round up, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honourable members, for giving me the floor.
Honourable Aaron Kroma.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I thought you are going to draw the attention of the honourable member on the relevance of his debate. But you know, he was very lucky that he had the luxury to debate when leaders are debating. And I want to give you that opportunity. That's why I didn't interject when you are making your statement. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, it is very clear that the honourable member never worked for government. The only time he worked for government is when he was elected as member of parliament. So he knows little about how salaries of government are paid to workers. But Mr. Speaker, honourable members, the record you made reference to, the 45th or the 38th or the 39, we are the proud legacies of His Excellency, the late President Jan Kaba. This is on record. The nation knows. That's why I was stopped since the APC took over power from 2007 to 2012, nobody was paid beyond the 31st. Mr. Speaker, members, and you know, I expect that he knows much about project management, and I still owe him to a very high extent. I know that he knows something about project management. But Mr. Speaker, his facts were distorted. Mr. Speaker, the two bridges, the one that links Mabang to Moyamba, whatsoever, and the Mabele Bridge, Mr. Speaker, these bridges, of course, the contracts of those bridges were awarded first in 2016 to an EU recommended project called MSC. They were recommended way before elections. The APC government terminated those contracts and re-awarded to CSE, and it was the CSE that completed those projects. No re-awarding was done, so therefore there was nothing like a termination. There was nothing like conditions not met. Conditions were fully met. Since you came, you never evaluated. Nothing was done. The contract was met, and they completed the job based on what was supposed to be done. Mr. Speaker, members, the honourable member also said, the honourable member from Pujong, my good friend, he said the importation of rice has reduced by about 60%. Granted, honourable member. 60%, or even if you say 1%, granted. But Mr. Speaker, members, have we asked ourselves the question about the cost of a bag of rice? Has it reduced? No. It keeps increasing. Mr. Speaker, the forces of demand and supply are natural. If supply of goods increases, it must have an effect on the price. I've said it this way, that importation reduced not because of the increase in production. It is because the consumption pattern of Sierra Leone has changed. Sierra Leone that used to eat 10 cups of rice, they cannot afford it anymore. They are now resorted to buy just 5 cups or 4 cups. So, Mr. Speaker, you should expect consumption to reduce. So, as a result, sales drops. So, importation is bound to drop. Mr. Speaker, other member, when you go to his constituency, a cup of rice has increased from 1,000 in 2018 to 8,000 litres. That's the reality. And Mr. Speaker, the opposite of inflation is deflation. That's the meaning of inflation to our ordinary people. If inflation reduces, it must have an effect on them. And the way